I told Bijan, I said, hey, yeah, I mean, this is your first time matching up one-on-one with Jay after he said it's a murder, man. You got anything personal? He said, yeah, I'll take it personal. No question. I'm gonna let you get y'all off the jungle. Let's get to it, Jack.
Oh, yeah. He's good, man. Walking into it. So this tag team wants full weight, like as far as
and you know the fans like you get one loss, it's the worst way ever. You get one win, you're top five. So
yeah.
Tag team is kind of that, like, oh, he won in the tag team, so now he needs a top five matchup. So it's good for storylines. But it's just such a different game. It's such a different game.
We get Rob Lowe.
Yeah, we saw LP and Rob in that tag team. They look unstoppable in the tag team. They had the twos. They weren't as good. So it just suits different players, different matchups.
Let's see what he's trying to do. He just walked away. He said, I'm walked away like So right here, based off this possession, Bijan misses the use
nah, because I give him one more possession because if we lose, I can blame him. Now, he did sell for 12 points, man.
Yeah.
But oddly enough, this is how they're one-on-one win.
Man. He's a problem.
I don't think I've ever seen Rob sell on defense. Like, sell me in on offense.
This is an interesting matchup, too. That's back and forth.
Oh, man. Wow. Bobby, go for 40. Go for 40. Go for 40. Why not need to? Because it's soccer.
That's Bijan.
That's
Yeah. It's just kind of like
This is how everything has been for me. I've just been a fan. I'm just watching the talent. We don't have some talent in the
no better song.
How do you feel as a defender? Like, how do you slide with somebody?
I mean, I think half the shots in one leg. Okay.
I'm like skipping the different ways. The worst part here, Bijan tweaked his ankle a little bit the other day. Okay. Rob obviously is coming off an injury, like a heel wound or something like that. So, oh my God.
He's just had, I think it's something I was like taking it on the first because he's just as he shots.
Well, also, yes, he might send it to say make a mistake because he said send it to halftime. Like, now imagine if I just sent it to halftime. What are you watching?
He's sticking around like he's like fifth grade at Reese. Like Reese is
kind of funny. He got 19 points.
like
Halftime. Zay doing it for the culture right now. Like, Zay, get his snap out.
I'm like, hey, man, I'm on plays. I said, if you said, like, this is just wow. Okay.
That's a bigger bucket than y'all know. That's a bigger bucket than y'all realize. If they did a percentage, shot percentage after getting fouled, I think Bijan would be easier than
The App Store Accountability Act requires app stores to verify kids' ages and get parents' consent to download. Because you don't mess with Texas kids. Senator Ted Cruz, empower parents and protect kids. Pass the App Store Accountability Act.
well, what next?
You weren't the florist whose business was blooming yet. Xero makes it easy to manage your books all in one place so you can flourish. Now, you're the kind of florist whose business is blooming.
Shop the Kate Spade Margot bag.
Welcome to Refresherland. Kick back with black cherry, bold and tart, or new pink pineapple, a tropical refresh. Dunkin' Refreshers.
You still like the big fans.
Not a fan, but I'm an old man, so my opinion doesn't matter. I just feel like it's
Not like fair shoes.
fair shoot, man. It's hot. It's so hot. I mean, you got a hoodie on. I guess I got a hoodie.
Oh, wow, that's wow. I think finally, like, he needs one of those matches. Like that. I mean, my God.
You look like O2 Goose.
You said what?
You look like O2 Goose.
Oh, yes, I'm so lying. Oh, my God. All he needs is a mask.
Nice. So I know people don't like those calls. They have been talking about it, but they wait to see if the ball goes in. Only because the bonus, they don't want to call it because there's no and ones anyways. It's just check up. So they're like, we wait to see if it goes in. If we think it's a foul, if it goes in, we don't call it. So, yeah, let me know in the comments what you guys think as fans. I think it's fair. It's just not calling unnecessary fouls. Okay. Here we go.
That's the thing about Bijan. He can just start bringing them off. 6 points per turn.
I don't know if it's a good strategy to be commentating this long though. Once they don't rattle off points like that. It's usually like a slow grind.
Yeah.
So Zay, if he said he needs Zay to get it 20,
Yeah.
it's like
He's just sitting down, kind of like knife.
Zay has these. Palmer's for 21.
It's me. Serious.
Oh, it's down here to all team. You know, okay, so. I mean, we haven't seen Zay yet. That's why I'm on the court.
Yeah. What his birthday was the other day, so
Bobby,
yeah,
he carries over.
Yeah.
Carries over to the
yeah, yeah.
that makes sense. You're younger.
They just like I'm just gonna stand.
Yeah, I think Zane's just here to check the ball. Zane's just here because Bobby needs somebody to check the ball.
I don't have no words. I guess
Right?
okay. I mean, hey,
He's like first shot of the game. It's 25 to 6. Zane's first shot.
wow. Like, there's just no words.
He just hit a fadeaway layup. A fadeaway underhanded scoop layup.
Just good to see it. It's going. I know B. John's trying to get it going.
Obviously, just
It just seems tough.
I wonder if Bobby has been thinking about that Beach Nine game a lot. Because he's actually been contesting. He's been contesting every three.
He's playing wonderful defense. Yeah. I mean, just like you said, like as right now, he's looking like the best player on the floor. It's just defensively, offensively, he's just doing everything. I mean, the whole. Yeah. Sorry, dog. I'm not even trying to play.
They're going to say the things that you got 35. You got 32 of the 34 points. There we go. There we go.
This is what we don't see, though, you know.
That's another matchup. They take this one personally too.
Oh yeah. So it's like I just think about it. They both get that. Yeah. So they're taking this match. You know what I'm saying?
That's kind of what this whole series is supposed to be. You know, get to see these storylines, get to see them play together against each other.
I mean, the more he dribbles, the higher percentage.
Yeah, he's oddly enough, he's better off the dribble than catch and shoot. So Zay's on the board as well. This is when Rob plays his best too, though. When his team is down, I think he likes having that pressure.
Kind of playing like the Euro.
Yeah, I think he just gets better. And oddly enough, some people just play better from
We take nothing away from it. Like it's just like he's just doing that. like he is. Sometimes people catch him on the wrong thing, and that is just what's happening.
Look at him.
Like he just needs to shoot it with his left hand.
One legged again. I just been laughing this whole game. I don't have no comment.
It's just
No notes. No notes from Bobby.
Describe what is going on. I'm looking at a lot of faces. Everybody is just like, what happened?
What's it? 41-9.
Wait, he had 29
29 points.
man, that's the game final score 41-9. Yes, I said that correctly. 41-9. I think Bobby had 39 out of 40. He had 39 out of 40.
I started a business to give old folks a new life, and Chase has supported me from the beginning.
Hey, Dallas, 6 gives you cheap thrills. Rent premium cars at affordable prices from 6 in Dallas or nationwide.
6. Rent the car. When the ruthless patriarch of the Romano crime family picked up his private line in the dead of night, He expected trouble, but not the panicked voice of a terrified waitress. Her trembling report that his only heir was currently bleeding to death on a grimy city sidewalk ignited a violent chain of events that would ultimately tear the entire city apart. The rain in New York City doesn't wash the streets clean. It just makes the grime slick. Celia Jace pulled her thin, faded trench coat tighter around her shoulders, keeping her head down as she hurried down West 46th Street. She had just finished a brutal 12-hour double shift at Mel's Diner on 9th Avenue, and the ache in her arches was a dull, rhythmic throb. All she wanted was to get to the 50th Street subway station, catch the C train, and collapse into her cramped studio apartment. But as she passed the dark, narrow mouth of a service alley near an abandoned laundromat, a flash of white caught her eye. Celia stopped. The streetlights flickered overhead, casting long, menacing shadows. She squinted through the torrential downpour. Huddled against the rusted grate of a storm drain was a small figure. "Hey," Celia called out, her voice barely carrying over the sound of the rain hitting the pavement. "Are you okay?" No answer. Celia's heart hammered against her ribs. Every instinct told her to keep walking. This was Hell's Kitchen in the dead of night, and getting involved usually meant getting hurt. But the figure was too small. She cautiously stepped into the alley. As her eyes adjusted to the gloom, she gasped. It was a little boy, no older than 7. He was soaked to the bone, wearing what looked like a customized Dalton School blazer, though the expensive wool was currently ruined with mud and something darker, blood. It was pooling from a nasty gash on his forehead, washing away into the city drains. "Oh my God," Celia breathed, dropping to her knees, heedless of the filthy puddle soaking through her jeans. "Hey, sweetie, wake up." The boy groaned, his eyelashes fluttering. His skin was ice cold, tinged with an unnatural, sickly grey pallor. He tried to push himself up on his hands, but his arms gave out instantly, sending him face first back into the wet concrete. His breathing was shallow and ragged. "I can't. My legs." The boy whimpered, his teeth chattering violently. "I can't feel my legs." "It's okay, I've got you," Celia said, panic rising in her throat. She fumbled in her pocket for her cheap prepaid phone, intending to dial 911, but the boy suddenly grabbed her wrist with surprising strength. "No police," he rasped, his dark eyes wide with terror. He reached into the inner pocket of his ruined blazer and pulled out a sleek, heavy smartphone, the kind that cost more than Celia's rent. He pressed it into her hand. "Call Papa. Only Papa." Celia looked at the cracked screen. There was no passcode, just a single contact listed on the home screen. Papa. She didn't have time to argue. The boy was losing consciousness again. She hit the call button and pressed the phone to her ear. It rang only once. "Speak." A voice answered. It wasn't the frantic voice of a worried father. It was deep, terrifyingly calm, and carried a weight that made the hair on the back of Celia's neck stand up. "Oh, hello," Celia stammered. "Are you this boy's father? I found him in an alley off West 46th. He's bleeding, and he says he can't move his legs." There was a dead silence on the line. For a second, Celia thought the call had dropped, 5 miles away, in the soundproofed VIP room of the Onyx Club. Vincent Romano froze. The heavy crystal tumbler of bourbon in his hand stopped midway to his lips. Vincent was a man who traded in fear and control. As the undisputed head of the Romano Syndicate, he had enemies in every borough. But the golden rule of the New York underworld was that families were untouchable. Who is this? Vincent asked, his voice dropping an octave, instantly silencing the 3 lieutenants sitting around the poker table. My name is Celia, she said, shivering as the rain pelted her back. I'm just a waitress. Please. Your son is hurt really badly. I think he needs an ambulance. Do not call an ambulance, Vincent commanded, standing up so abruptly his chair crashed to the floor. If you dial 911, you will not live to see the sunrise. What is he wearing? Celia blinked, stunned by the threat. A navy blue blazer. It has a gold crest and a monogram on the pocket. L.R. Leo, his son. Vincent's chest tightened, a rare spike of raw adrenaline hitting his veins. He signaled his men, who instantly drew their weapons and headed for the door. Listen to me very carefully. Celia, Vincent said, his tone turning into cold steel. You are going to stay exactly where you are. Keep him warm. Hide him from the street. If anyone approaches, you scream. My men are exactly 4 minutes away. If my son dies, or if you run, there is no hole on this earth deep enough to hide you. Do you understand? Yes, she whispered, a tear mixing with the rain on her cheek. The line went dead. Celia dropped the phone and quickly unbuttoned her trench coat, wrapping it tightly around the shivering boy. She pulled him against her chest, pressing her hand against the bleeding wound on his head. Your dad is coming, she whispered, rocking him slightly. Leo looked up at her, his vision swimming. The man with the silver cane, he mumbled deliriously. He pushed me out. The big black car. Before Celia could ask what he meant, the screech of tires tore through the night. 2 massive, armored, black Chevrolet Suburbans jumped the curb, blocking the alley entrance completely. 4 men in dark suits stepped out, the streetlights glinting off the suppressed firearms in their hands. A giant of a man with a scarred jawline. Tommy Bell's Bellucci marched toward them. He didn't ask questions. He scooped the bleeding boy out of Celia's arms with surprising gentleness. Celia stumbled backward, raising her hands. I just found him, I swear. Tommy looked at her, then motioned to the second SUV. Boss says bring the witness. Get in the car. Lady, now! When Celia hesitated, 2 of the men grabbed her arms, hauling her off her feet and shoving her into the leather-scented darkness of the vehicle. The doors slammed shut, locking her inside a world she was never meant to see. The drive was a blur of neon lights and heavy silence. Celia sat squeezed between 2 silent men smelling of expensive cologne and gun oil. She didn't dare speak. Her mind was racing. Who were these people? Why didn't they take the boy to Bellevue Hospital? The SUVs descended into a private, subterranean parking garage beneath a towering glass skyscraper on Central Park South. Celia was pulled from the vehicle and marched onto a private elevator. The stainless steel doors slid shut, and she watched the numbers climb dizzyingly fast. When the doors opened, Celia stepped into a penthouse that looked like a modern fortress. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the sweeping, rainy expanse of Central Park. The floors were imported Italian marble, and original artwork hung on the walls. But Celia barely registered the luxury. Her eyes were drawn to the center of the massive living room. The room had been transformed into a makeshift trauma center. A man in a tailored Brioni suit stood with his back to her, watching a silver-haired doctor work frantically over Leo, who was laid out on a leather surgical table. His blood pressure is plummeting. Vincent, Dr. Harris Sterling muttered, adjusting an IV line. The head wound is superficial, a mild concussion, but the paralysis, It's not spinal trauma. The man in the suit turned around. Vincent Romano was strikingly handsome, but it was a harsh, predatory kind of beauty. His dark eyes were like black ice, and his jaw was set with a tension that threatened to snap the room in half. He wore a Patek Philippe watch that caught the light as he crossed the room and stopped inches from Celia. Celia shrank back. Up close, the aura of power radiating from him was suffocating. "You're the waitress," Vincent said. It wasn't a question. "Yes," Celia said, her voice shaking. "Celia Jace. Please, I don't know anything. I just saw him in the rain." Vincent stared at her for a long, calculating moment. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a dossier. Her name was printed on the top. In the 20 minutes since the phone call, he had already pulled her entire life apart. Celia Jace, Vincent read smoothly. 24 years old, no criminal record. You work at Mel's Diner and clean offices on the weekends. You are currently $70,000 in debt to Mount Sinai Hospital for your mother's chemotherapy treatments. You have no boyfriend, no close friends, and you live in a shoebox in Queens. He dropped the folder onto a glass coffee table. You're a ghost, a desperate one. "What do you want from me?" Celia asked, fighting the urge to cry. "Answers," Vincent snapped. "Who paid you to set him up?" "No one," Celia cried out, stepping forward. "He was dying in the street. If I wanted him hurt, I would have kept walking." "Vincent, doctor," Sterling interrupted, his voice tight. Vincent spun around, his coat flaring. "What is it? Paris!" The doctor held up a small vial of blood he had just drawn from the boy. He placed it into a portable centrifuge, checking the digital readout on a connected laptop. He just ran a rapid tox screen. Leo wasn't just pushed, he was dosed. Tetrodotoxin derivative, a highly refined, slow-acting synthetic paralytic. It shuts down the motor functions first, then the respiratory system. It mimics a severe spinal injury. The room went dead silent. Tommy Bellucci cursed under his breath. Vincent's face turned to stone. "Someone poisoned my son." "Yes, doctor," Sterling said grimly, "and it requires precision. A dose this exact means it was slipped into his food or drink at least 3 hours ago. Someone close to him did this. Someone inside your house." Celia watched as the realization hit the mafia boss. His inner circle was compromised. The men standing guard at the door suddenly looked at each other with suspicion. Vincent's empire was built on loyalty, and a rat had just tried to murder his heir. "Dad," a weak voice croaked. Vincent rushed to the table, his intimidating demeanor melting away instantly. He took Leo's small, pale hand in his own. "I'm here. Piccolo mio. Papa is here. The lady," Leo whispered, his eyes searching the room until they locked onto Celia. "Where is the lady?" Vincent frowned, glancing back at Celia. "She's here." We are partners. We are partners. Bum, 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 bum.
You asked for protein, and we went big. So long sugar, hello natural tea.
Refresh
Refresh your home with 40% off select home decor at Hobby Lobby. Out with the old and in with what's you. Find everything you need to make your home feel cozy, stylish, new. Shop 40% off select home decor at Hobby Lobby.
Make her stay, Leo pleaded, his heart monitor beeping erratically. The man with the cane. He said everyone in the house is bad. He said they all lie. Don't let her leave. Papa. She helped me. Celia froze. She remembered Leo's delirious words in the alley. The man with the silver cane. Mr. Romano, Celia said softly, tentatively stepping closer to the table. When I found him, he said a man with a silver cane pushed him out of a black Lincoln Navigator. Tommy Bellucci dropped his hand to his holster. Boss, Simon has a silver cane. He handles the East Side collections. He drives a Navigator. Vincent's eyes darkened with a murderous rage that made the room temperature drop. Simon was his uncle, his own flesh and blood. He turned back to Celia, looking at her not as a nuisance, but as an asset, a completely unconnected, untainted civilian whom his son inexplicably trusted. You owe 70,000 to Mount Sinai, Vincent stated, his voice flat, emotionless once again. Yes, Celia whispered. Vincent pulled out a sleek black phone and typed a brief message. A second later, Celia's cheap cell phone chimed in her pocket. She pulled it out. It was a notification from her bank. A wire transfer had just cleared. $70,000. Her balance was completely wiped clean. She stared at the screen, her mouth open in shock. What? What did you just do? I just bought your life, Miss Jace, Vincent said, stepping into her personal space. He smelled of rain, expensive tobacco, and danger. My house is compromised. I cannot trust my guards, my maids, or my own family. But my son trusts you. I have to go to work tomorrow, Celia stammered, overwhelmed. I have a life. You had a life, Vincent corrected her softly, terrifyingly. You saved a Romano tonight. That makes you a target. The moment Simon finds out you intercepted his hit, he will have you killed in your queen's apartment before breakfast. Vincent reached out and gently took Celia's cheap phone from her trembling hands, dropping it onto the floor and crushing it beneath his polished leather shoe. You are my son's new nanny, Vincent declared, turning back to his men. Tommy, lock down the penthouse. No one gets in or out. Celia sleeps in the adjoining room to Leo. I didn't agree to this, Celia yelled, finally finding her voice. Vincent stopped at the door, looking over his shoulder. You don't have to agree. You just have to survive. Welcome to the family. Suddenly, the lights in the penthouse completely cut out, plunging the room into absolute darkness. The heavy reinforced doors of the elevator chimed. Someone was coming up, and they weren't invited. The darkness was absolute, thick and suffocating like a heavy wool blanket. The only sound was the erratic, panicked beeping of Leo's heart monitor, running on its emergency battery backup. Get down! Vincent's voice roared through the pitch-black penthouse, before Celia could even register the command. A heavy, calloused hand gripped her shoulder and shoved her violently to the floor. The marble was freezing against her cheek. A split second later, the stainless steel doors of the private elevator blew inward with a deafening crack. The concussive force shattered the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Central Park. Wind and rain instantly howled into the room, sending shards of glass raining down like lethal confetti. Muzzle flashes erupted from the elevator shaft, illuminating the room in strobing, terrifying bursts of yellow light. Celia screamed, covering her ears as the deafening roar of automatic gunfire chewed through the expensive leather furniture and plastered walls. Tommy suppressing fire covered the boy. Vincent barked. Tommy, Bells, Bellucci, and the remaining guards returned fire, their suppressed weapons emitting deadly, rhythmic thwips that found their targets in the dark. Heavy bodies hit the floor with wet thuds. Celia crawled blindly across the glass-strewn floor, her hand slicing open on the shards. She didn't care. Her only thought was the paralyzed 7-year-old boy lying helpless on the surgical table. She bumped into the metal legs of the table, reached up, and grabbed Leo by his ruined blazer, pulling him down off the table just as a spray of bullets shredded the mattress where he had been lying a second before. "I've got you," Celia gasped, pulling Leo's trembling body under the heavy mahogany dining table nearby. "Close your eyes. Leo, keep them closed." "Papa!" Leo whimpered, burying his face in Celia's chest. In the strobing light of the gunfire, Celia saw Vincent. He was no longer the composed, terrifying businessman in a Brioni suit. He was a predator unleashed. He moved through the darkness with lethal precision, a heavy Glock 19 in his hand. He didn't waste bullets. Every shot he took ended with an invader collapsing. "Reloading," Tommy yelled from behind a shattered granite kitchen island. "Two left on the flank," Vincent called back. Celia held her breath as heavy combat boots crunched on the glass, mere feet from her hiding spot. One of the hitmen was circling the dining table, his weapon raised, sweeping the area with a mounted flashlight. The beam of light cut through the dust and smoke, inching closer to where Celia and Leo were huddled. If the light hit them, they were dead. Celia looked around frantically. Her hand brushed against a heavy, jagged piece of the shattered crystal bourbon decanter that had fallen from a side table. She gripped it tightly, ignoring the sting as it bit into her palm. The hitman stepped closer. The flashlight beam swept over Celia's ruined boots. Without thinking, Celia lunged from under the table. She drove the jagged crystal deep into the unarmored gap behind the hitman's knee. The man roared in agony, his leg buckling. As he fell, his flashlight spun wildly, illuminating his face. Vincent materialized from the shadows behind him like a ghost, wrapping his arm around the man's throat and ending the struggle with a brutal, sickening snap. The room fell dead silent, save for the howling wind and the rain pouring through the shattered windows. "Clear!" Tommy yelled, kicking a weapon away from a downed body. The emergency backup generators finally kicked in, bathing the ruined penthouse in a dim, eerie red glow. The luxury apartment was completely decimated. Bullet holes tracked across the expensive artwork, and 6 masked men in tactical gear lay dead on the marble floor. Vincent dropped his empty magazine and slammed a fresh one into his weapon. He didn't look at the bodies. His eyes immediately swept the room. "Leo, we're here," Celia choked out, crawling out from under the table, dragging Leo with her. Her hands were covered in blood from the glass, but the boy was unharmed. Vincent rushed over, sliding to his knees in the ruin of his home. He checked Leo frantically, then looked at Celia. He saw her bleeding hands, the fierce, protective grip she had on his son, and the shattered crystal she was still clutching. The cold, dead look in the mafia boss's eyes shifted, replaced by something Celia couldn't quite decipher. It was a profound, startling respect. "You protected him," Vincent breathed, his voice thick with an emotion he rarely allowed himself to feel. "I told you I wouldn't let him get hurt," Celia said, her voice shaking violently as the adrenaline began to crash. "Boss," Tommy interrupted, his voice grim. He was kneeling next to one of the dead hitmen, having pulled off the man's tactical mask. It's Dominic. He's one of Simon's top enforcers. Simon sent his own personal guard to finish the job. Vincent stood up, towering over the room, a terrifying aura returning in full force. Simon knows the poison didn't work. He knows Leo is here. Tommy, get the armored transport ready. We are moving to the safe house in the Hamptons. Tonight. Wait, a voice croaked from the corner. Doctor. Aris Sterling emerged from behind the overturned leather sofa, dusting off his lab coat. He was pale, sweating profusely, and clutching his medical bag to his chest like a shield. Vincent, you can't move the boy yet. The paralytic is still in his system. His heart rate is dropping again. If we put him in a bumpy transport, the stress will trigger a full cardiac arrest. Vincent turned to the doctor, his jaw tight. Then what do you suggest? Aris, I have an experimental counteragent in my bag, the doctor said quickly, his eyes darting around the room. I need to administer it intravenously immediately. It will flush the toxin from his receptors. Then he'll be stable enough to move. Vincent nodded curtly. Do it. Fast. Doctor. Sterling hurried over to the dining table where Celia was holding Leo. He unzipped his medical bag with trembling hands. Celia watched him closely. Something was wrong. Celia had spent the last 5 years reading people to survive. Working the graveyard shift at a diner in Hell's Kitchen meant knowing when a customer was about to skip out on a bill, when a drunk was about to get violent, and when someone was lying. Doctor. Sterling was lying. His hands were shaking, yes, but not with the adrenaline of surviving a gunfight. It was the terrified, guilty tremor of a man backed into a corner. As he pulled a small vial filled with a clear liquid from his bag, Celia noticed something else. Earlier, when the doctor had run the rapid tox screen on Leo's blood, Celia had seen him check his smartwatch. It had buzzed twice, a distinct vibration pattern. Just now, right before he suggested the counteragent, his watch had buzzed again with the exact same pattern. Why would a doctor be getting messages during a deadly firefight? Hold his arm still. Celia. Doctor. Sterling instructed, drawing the clear liquid into a syringe. This will pinch, Leo, but you'll feel better soon. Celia looked at the syringe. Then she looked at the doctor's eyes. They were wide, frantic, completely devoid of the detached professionalism he had shown an hour ago. Someone close to him did this. The doctor had said earlier, someone inside your house. No, Celia said softly. What doctor? Sterling snapped, his facade cracking. Girl, let go of his arm. I am a medical professional. I said no, Celia shouted, yanking Leo against her chest and physically blocking the doctor with her body. Celia, step aside, Vincent ordered, stepping forward, his brow furrowed in confusion. He needs the medicine. It's not medicine, Celia yelled, staring dead into Vincent's eyes. Look at him. Vincent. Look at his watch. He just got a message. The hitmen didn't cut the power to ambush you. They cut the power to cause chaos so the doctor could finish the job. The room froze. Doctor. Sterling's face drained of all color. He lunged forward with the needle, aiming straight for Leo's neck. He never made it. Vincent moved with terrifying speed. He grabbed the doctor's wrist, twisting it violently backward until a sickening pop echoed through the room. Sterling screamed, dropping the syringe. It shattered on the marble floor, the clear liquid burning a small, sizzling hole into an expensive Persian rug. Acid. Vincent slammed the doctor against the wall, lifting him entirely off the floor by his throat. "Simon," Vincent whispered, his voice a demonic rasp. "Simon paid you to dose my son. He threatened my family." Sterling choked out, his legs kicking wildly in the air. "He said if I didn't give Leo the paralytic at dinner, he would kill my wife." The hit squad. They were just the distraction I was supposed to inject him with the acid during the chaos. Vincent's eyes were black voids of absolute fury. "You broke bread at my table, Aris. You swore an oath to my family." "Vincent, please," the doctor begged, tears streaming down his face. Vincent didn't shout. He didn't hesitate. He dropped the doctor to the floor, drew his weapon, and fired a single, silenced shot into the man's chest. Sterling slumped against the wall, dead. Celia covered Leo's eyes, burying her own face in his hair, her whole body trembling. She had just witnessed an execution. The reality of the world she had just been dragged into hit her like a freight train. Vincent stood over the body for a long moment. Then he turned and walked over to Celia and Leo. He holstered his weapon and knelt down, gently prying Celia's bloodied hands away from his son. "The poison. How do we stop it now?" Celia asked, her voice a fragile whisper.
It's just right, like bundling your auto and letters on a budget.
At Strayer, you can earn your degree affordably with access to up to 10 no-cost gen ed courses.
Bonkers. Okay. You got this. Bonkers is not liable to the actions of your pet. Sorry. Really good snacky snacks for dogs. Better when it's Bonkers.
Birthday party, karate, swim meet. Walmart Pharmacy could save you a stop by delivering prescriptions.
Oh no.
Have you seen my goggles?
Mom's got it all under control.
The paralytic Aris described was a lie, Vincent said quietly. Leo wasn't poisoned with a synthetic tetrodotoxin. Aris just needed an excuse for why Leo was paralyzed so he could administer the cure. "Tommy." "Yeah, boss," Tommy said, stepping forward, pulling a small medical kit from his own vest. "Give him the epinephrine," Vincent ordered. Aris just sedated him with a heavy muscle relaxant. Simon needed Leo out of the way to stage a coup tonight, but he didn't want the boy dead until I was dead too. Aris was the fail-safe. Tommy quickly administered a shot to Leo's leg. Within seconds, the boy took a deep, ragged breath. The grey pallor in his cheeks began to fade, replaced by a healthy, flushing pink. He blinked, looking up at his father, and then slowly reached out, his fingers curling weakly around Celia's coat. "I can feel my toes, Papa," Leo whispered. Vincent let out a breath he looked like he had been holding for years. He kissed his son's forehead, then looked up at Celia. "You saw what he was, even when I was blind to it," Vincent said, his voice stripped of all its usual cold authority. "You saved him in the alley, you saved him in the crossfire, and you saved him from the traitor." "I just wanted him to be okay," Celia said, tears finally spilling over her eyelashes. Vincent reached out, his large, warm hand gently wiping a smear of soot and blood from Celia's cheek. The touch sent a shockwave straight to her heart. It was a fiercely protective gesture from a man who destroyed anything that threatened what was his. Simon is a dead man walking, Vincent said, standing up and pulling Celia to her feet. He didn't let go of her hand. By sunrise, there will be no one left in New York who dares to speak his name. But this world, it is ugly. Celia, I forced you into it tonight. You paid my mother's debt, Celia replied, looking down at their joined hands, then up into his dark, magnetic eyes. You saved me too. You are no longer a waitress. You are no longer drowning in debt, Vincent declared, his gaze locking onto hers with an intensity that promised possession, protection, and something far more dangerous. You belong to the Romano family now. As long as I draw breath, no one will ever hurt you. That is my vow. Celia looked at the ruined penthouse, the bodies, the shattered glass. Then she looked at the little boy holding her hand, and the terrifying, beautiful man who had just burned his own empire down to protect them. She didn't run. She squeezed Vincent's hand back. Okay, Celia whispered. The storm outside finally broke, the first rays of dawn piercing through the shattered windows of the penthouse. The reign of Simon Romano was over before it began. And as Vincent led Celia and his son toward the stairs, a new era for the Romano Syndicate was born, one ruled by a king who had finally found his queen in the shadows of an alleyway. If you were on the edge of your seat during this mafia romance, hit that like button. Share this story with your friends who love a fierce, protective mafia boss and a hero.
In Primitive? You right? Y'all smashed? Bro, I know her ex. No, you can smash. This nigga bro, chill, dog. I mean, she fine shit, though, man. All right, go ahead. Let's go first since you already interjected. My bad. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Bros and Mo. Shout out to the girls. Shout out to Mike and Rico. Shout out to Hayden. We here. It feels like a Friday. We're drinking tequila on the panel. I mean, not well, it's me and some girls. Well, yeah, both sober. Following my kick, Aaron Hawkson, and yeah, I might be OnlyFans later on. Who knows? Oh what? No, I'm joking. I believe you. I'm not joking. All right, let's go. All right. Yeah, and then for me, guys, I just got done. I did like a couple streams today, man. Obviously, big news day, as you guys know. Trump literally just signed a memorandum of understanding with Iran.
The war might be over. I don't know. It could restart because we know how Israel is. But in the meantime, we still have the Epic Fury. Epic Fury hoodie still in stuff. Yeah, yo, get the hoodie. It's right now because literally it's every time to get it. Operation Epic failure because this war was a big failure. And yeah, the Israeli government tried to put my name on a bomb, but they lost. Oh shit! Let's see what happens. Yeah, it's all right. Anyway, let's get right into the intro. Sure. Unless there's another.
I'll be tomorrow
Okay.
for the weekend.
Okay, so nothing on Friday.
No,
Well, yeah.
no, we need to. Anyhow, so folks, will give us your name, your age, we do for living, dating status. We want, of course, your body count. Start right here. What's your name, age, we do for living?
My name is Samara, and then
I'm sorry, so that the name is what?
Xiomara.
Oh, Xiomara. Okay. 35.
Dang.
Okay. 35, where are you from?
Mexico.
Do you live in the US? Or
Yes.
where?
Here.
Oh, okay, Miami. What do you do for work?
I'm a military.
Highest education completed for you?
High school. High school.
Relationship status? Are your parents together? And then, I guess obviously the question.
Yeah, birth control.
No.
Hey, on. You have kids?
Yes.
How many you got?
4.
Damn, she's talking like
I need some more.
like talking.
I need
Well, it's just a surprise. So. All right.
Okay.
Wait, hold on. Body count?
2.
That's cat, bro. Really?
2 with 4 kids?
Yes.
You know what? I believe her.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense. Okay. I got you. All right, good job.
One baby daddy, I'm guessing? One dad?
Two.
Two.
What? Wait, where are they now?
Mexico?
No. Orlando.
Puerto Rican names, probably.
Do they speak English? Is their first language English?
Yes.
Nice. Okay.
Are they Puerto Rican or black?
Oh! Wait.
Of course. You can't make this shit up.
Is she single?
You got a question?
Oh, that makes sense.
I just don't believe anything.
Yeah.
All right. What about you?
My name's Felicia. Wait, what am I saying?
Oh, your name.
Okay, Felicia, and I'm 22.
You said welcome back. When was she on?
Several times.
I was here a couple times.
Yeah, a few times.
Was I here?
Yeah, I do hear.
How old are you?
I'm 22.
22. Where are you from?
Originally from Philly.
What do you do for work?
I bartend.
Highest education level completed?
High school / trade school.
Do you have different hair?
No, I've been blonde.
It's been a while, yeah.
Relationship status?
Single.
Are you aggressive?
No.
No. I was gonna put race white.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basic bitches.
All right. What about you?
Wait, hold on. Body count, Felicia.
Next question.
Is that high?
Probably 12. No, I'm just not going to answer that.
Wait, what? Is it 20?
Why not?
Yeah, I think body
What about you? What's your name?
My name is Taylor Starlight.
Wait, like the boys Starlight?
Yeah, the boys.
I like that show, but no, it's because I like space. I like sci-fi stuff.
Okay.
How old are you?
I'm 28. So I was born in St. Pete, Florida, but I live in San Diego, California now.
What do you do for work?
So I'm a streamer. I've been a streamer for 6 years on Twitch and Kick.
What kind of content do you stream?
I'm a variety streamer, so I do IRL, I do cooking, I've dabbled in bikini content.
Hot tub?
Oh, I'm sorry. I've dabbled in bikini content. I've done, just events. Like I went to Mike's event recently. Literally, like a couple days ago, I went to Mike's event. So,
highest education level completed?
bachelor's in marketing management, UCF in Orlando, Florida.
Relationship status?
Single. No, they're divorced.
And then
What was that? Sorry?
birth control for you.
Oh, I'm not on birth control because I'm not with anyone.
And then race is white. Basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wait, so you're celibate?
I haven't had sex in a long time yet. I'm waiting for the right person.
Oh, come on. No, I believe her. How long has it been?
I feel like it's been at least 7 months.
Stop the cap.
I never mind. I don't believe
No, I'm serious. Like,
Hold on, you got a rose?
I don't have a rose. I have like a Hitachi.
You got
The
something.
Hitachi. Honestly, like, that's all you need.
You know what?
Wait for experience, nigga.
Blowjobs.
Wait, what do you mean about blowjobs?
Have you given any blowjobs recently?
No.
All right, body
No.
counts.
12.
So you want someone to wait for that?
Wait, what?
You want someone to wait for 12 bodies?
I mean, sure, whatever. I mean, if we're talking about from high school to now, like 12 bodies, I feel like it's not that bad.
That's pretty bad.
Oh, okay, that's up to you. But I'm just saying, I don't think that's that bad.
You're 28.
I'm 28. Yeah.
What time, Sue?
When did you lose your virginity?
When I think I was 18, 17, 18.
You think?
Yeah. I mean, do you want me to go back and see? Like,
I think the virginity is like the most sacred thing.
okay, it was like 17 on the verge of 18. Sure, if that's what you want to say. But it was in high school for sure. Yeah, I think it's pretty normal.
No, I lost mine at 12.
Hey, bitch.
Oh, wait, what?
Your daddy's here now, bitch. Go fix me a sandwich.
Oh, you finally showed up, huh?
When did it become normal? When did it become normal for women to go on? I was listening to that stream on Fresh and Fit. When did it become normal for women, classy women, supposedly, to go on a well-known, mass-watched talk show and talk about the fact that they have a Hitachi magic wand to masturbate with? That should be private information. She should have, if she was a classy woman, she would have said, that's private. I'm not going to answer that. When he asked her if she had a rose, or apparently a rose must be some sort of sex toy, and she said no, a Hitachi. And of course, she's talking about the magic wand. But a classy woman, decent woman, would have said, excuse me, that's private. So think about like, would you want to marry a woman who's going on shows telling men about how often she masturbates and shit? That's fucking crazy.
One thing you have to understand, Dora, this is 2026. A lot of shit. I'm not surprised about what's said or what's done in 2026. There's things worse said than that. I mean, look at the shit we say.
Women need to be held to a different standard. Men are.
But men want pussy,
perverted.
so they're not gonna hold women to have pussy. So men aren't gonna hold women to high standards. Most men don't. Most men will not. Most men will bow down just to get pussy. That's real.
The girls I tend to go for are typically more sexually modest. Those are just the type of women that I'm attracted to, are like goody goody type girls that I not goody goody, but like there's just certain personalities of women I like, and the women I dated, I can rattle right off, would never answer those types of questions. There may be one that I've recently, although that was a year and a half ago, there may be one that would answer that, but for the most part, they would all be like, what? And that's what I kind of like about Latinas, is Latinas from overseas. If they were asked that question, a lot of them would never answer it, because even if they are somewhat promiscuous, they would never want that to be known, because of how shameful that is in their society. Whereas in our society, in America, it doesn't matter if you're black, Hispanic, white, whatever, except for some like really super orthodox communities, for the most part, you could go on an interview. Like, I'm sure you've seen that guy, the black dude with like the Jamaican accent, who's always like doing street interviews. There's a couple of them. Then there's like a Latino dude. I can't remember their channels, but they have a lot of content on like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. And for some reason it shows up in my shorts, but they'll go right up to a girl and be like, how many bodies do you have? What's the most the guy's ever spent you on a date? And he's in like Miami, and there's like 18-year-old girls, and they're like, about $20,000 on a date one night for the two of us. And they're like, what's the most you've ever spent on a guy on a date? And she's like, 10 or 20 bucks, or spent on a man ever. But anyways, that's a slightly different topic. But it's just interesting that I prefer other cultures where the women are a little more modest and conservative. Like, even if you are, like, I'm not going to hold it against a woman for having a certain degree of sexual, like, if she's sexually active with different men over the years. But I think what would be more, even worse, would be if she talks about it and just has it all out there. Because I think I don't think we should be total hypocrites. I didn't wait till marriage to have relations. And, I've had several, I don't want to say too much, but I've had a couple of different girls over the years. So I don't want to be a total hypocrite and patriarchal. But at the same time, like, I just think that the, expectations for men and women are different. And I don't understand how a woman who's had all these bodies could ever commit to one man, because she's given herself to so many men, like, cohabitated with them, formed lives with them. So it's just, which is why I would warn someone like some of the guys on here that are attracted to women, who they are. I would say, hey, like, you may want to double check that, because an older woman may have a harder time committing to you. But there's going to be older women that are going to be super happy to have you and are going to treat you like a fucking king. I've talked to a lot of them. They're just not the types of women I go for, but there's a lot of women in their mid-30s, late 20s, even to mid-30s. Early mid, late 30s, that I think these women would absolutely treat a man like a king and do whatever their husband asks. But you'd have to contend yourself with, this is really important to me, is that, I don't want to have kids that are totally fucked up biologically and genetically. And if you fuck with a woman that's over 30, I mean, you're going to have your chances of having unhealthy kids that have congenital issues is really high. Now, I was really surprised to recently learn that in a lot of countries, they test for something called trisomy 21 or whatever, which is basically the indicator for Down syndrome. And I was shocked to realize that, like, in a lot of countries in Europe, over 90% of people, as soon as they find out in the first few months of the pregnancy that they're pregnant, they'll just have an abortion if the kid has Down syndrome. And in the US, it's also really high. I think it's well over 70%. I was really surprised to see that, because and a lot of these people claim to be pro-life, but yet they're aborting the kid. And I don't know if I would be able to do that, But anyways, like, to me, that seems pretty fucked up to abort a child, even if it's like for medical reasons. But I do think you can heavily avoid having kids that have those types of defects. I hate using the term defect, but who have those types of medical challenges by not having relations with older women, because the likelihood of them to give you kids that are like severely fucking deformed and stuff is so high. And women get so offended by this because they've been taught that they can be fertile by woke society till like they're 50. and they sell in like all these career bitches sell into like buy into like having their eggs frozen and IVF and fertility clinics and all this stuff, but there's nothing cool or sexy about having a surrogate or having a woman's eggs frozen and all that stuff. So yeah, I guess you can still look at the pregnancy once the woman's pregnant, but the age range I look for in a girl is a girl that's like 26 at the oldest, maybe 27. And then you just have, you know, in 4 or 5 years, you have 3, in, you know, 5 years, you have 3 or 4 children, and finding a woman that's willing to have that many children. And that's another thing I've noticed is a lot of women I talk to talk about how they only want to have 1 or 2 kids. They're totally against the idea of having like even 2, let alone 3 or 4. When I talk about it, they're like, "Are you crazy? You have the kid. Why don't you have the kid? You know how hard that is on your body?" And I'm thinking to myself, why don't I have the kid? What the fuck? I can't have kids. I can't bear children. Like, what the fuck? But so it's like a lot of women these days don't want to seem to embrace the sacrifice and the honor and beauty of bringing a child into this world. And it's not something I could ever do. So I totally respect women, like unprecedented for the fact that they give birth. But it just seems like a lot of women these days, especially like educated women, are totally uninterested in that. And they see it as like, they see having children as like some low class, primitive act that's below them for women below them, and that they're like too superior for that. So it's fucking crazy that we as a society have gotten like so detached from what makes us who we are. And a lot of the people choosing not to have children are the people that should have children. And a lot of the people that are having children are people that absolutely should not be having children. And they're breeding they're sharing their low seed basically in womb to bring in future fucked up children. And you see it all the time on these like Asmongoth or whatever it's called, and all these body cam footage things. I was binge watching them last night and today, and you see all these people who are like caught shoplifting at Walmart, or they're asked to leave a store or something like that. And all those people that are like absolutely like belligerent, retarded, disgraceful citizens, they're all having children. You know, they got 4 or 5 of them. But then you see like the people that are like educated and decent human beings, and they have like maybe 1. So it's just, that was just something I'm thinking of, is like the people that I see having children and the children that I observe with them, I think to myself, holy fuck, those kids are gonna maybe one day like have access to me and take care of me. Like, fuck no. Because they're total degenerate people. Like, you know, you could use the term white trash or equivalents in other races or mixes, and that's exactly what they are. And they're shamefully belligerent, low-class people. And I don't think there's anything wrong at all saying that. And like I said, watch these body cam arrests with this single mama, these 2 single moms shoplifting at Walmart, and they got 3 or 4 kids with them, and how they act when they're arrested and how ridiculous they act. And it's just like, holy shit. How are like those ghetto ass bitches even in the US to begin with? And how why the fuck did we ever let them in? And they're breeding like rabbits, which I guess would be an insult to rabbits. But I totally stand by that statement. And yeah, the government is supporting it. The government is enabling it with all these programs to support these children and support these single mothers. And you see these single mothers who are even at Walmart shoplifting food. And here it is, you know full well they're getting thousands of dollars a month in aid. And you see they have like hundreds of dollars in their weave and their makeup and their nails. And these ghetto ass bitch moms, they're putting all this money into that and none into the child, into like investing in the child and providing. Like it is so shameful, and the government is so complicit in it. And it's just something that it's startling to see, and people are finally kind of waking up and realizing it and being like, whoa, like when did this ever become like acceptable behavior, how these people act of all backgrounds? Like when did it ever become acceptable for that to act like it's mind boggling, but the ghetto ass behavior that's become acceptable. Like when did that become a thing? When did it become acceptable for like children to scream and yell in public and talk to adults as equals? You know, they're not even like shy or awkward talking to adults. They interact with you like they're talking to their equal. There should be a separation between children and adults. They definitely cannot talk to you like you're socially the same person or group. And people need to be responsible for their children. They need to have a code, a social code, or a responsibility that they're providing for that child, that it's not the government's job to provide for that child. That used to be such a rare thing. Like if you couldn't support the children, like it's just fucking crazy. Like it's just a fucking crazy thing. It's just a crazy thing. Like, and a lot of people in other countries, they look at our country, they see what happens here, and they're just totally disgusted and shocked by how people act in our country, how ghetto they are, how fat they are, just how low class our people are. And it's just interesting that such a quote unquote evolved society is like that. Like I could never act like I'll never act like that when I'm a parent. Like I would never, like I would be so humiliated. Like when the parents start screaming, the ghetto ass single mom starts screaming at her kid with some fucking ridiculous name that they made up. That like you're already fucking your kid over by naming them a horrible name like that. That sounds like fucking ridiculous. And not only like you're screaming and yelling in the store and the kids screaming and yelling, and I was never allowed to act like that. When did that become acceptable to act like that? If the kid's not going to shut the fuck up, the kid needs to be removed from the store. Like everybody knows that. It's totally inappropriate to act like that in public. Like that's like common sense. You remove the child from the store to not inconvenience other people. Like if you're on a plane and the kid's going crazy, you stand up and walk with them, and like maybe that's a place where like it's somewhat acceptable for people to cry and stuff. It's just one of those things. But yeah, I just wanted to share that how fallen our society is, and anyone just go on YouTube and watch body cam footage. What's the fucker's name? Aspen Goth or whatever. I don't even think he's particularly entertaining, but he's one of these YouTubers that does a lot of body cam footage because it makes for very entertaining streams because of just how absolutely ridiculous and entitled people are in our country. So I'm not super optimistic about the future of our country because, like I said, those people are allowed to breed and those people are the ones having the most children. And if it's not them, it's Chinese and Indian immigrants who want to come to this country and spread their seed as much as possible, even though they look like orcs from Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings. Like, literally look like fucking orcs. If you've seen Indian people, there's nothing else you could ever compare them to but fucking orcs. And they for some reason they think they're the most beautiful thing ever and they want to spread that seed. And I gotta hold my tongue from telling them, you fucking ugly fuck should not breed. But yeah, I'm not optimistic about. And people want to bitch and complain about population control and all this stuff. Well, how can you dispute that a lot of these people should not be breeding? They should not be having children. How is that like a complex issue? And like, I'm going to be honest, a disproportionate amount of these people are black women. Like, and if you're black and if you're watching your women and observing them, you in good faith cannot say, wow, we are outliers. We stand out in really bad ways. Like, our community stands out in really bad ways, and all the most embarrassing, shameful things, we lead them all by a mile. And there's no one who's an honest person who's like self-examining and stuff could ever look at that and make any other conclusion. And every other race now is like, yo, there's something different here. We don't know if it's like the frontal lobe development and gray matter. And these scientists and stuff are trying to say, well, the frontal lobe is different in some black people because of like systemic racism, and that affects the brain. And it's like, who the fuck's gonna believe that? No, like, there's something going on here, dude. Like, there's something going on with these people, and like I said, particularly black women. And I think it's something that needs to be examined honestly. It's not going to be, and there's nothing remotely racist about it. Like, and like I said, I would have anyone come on and defend their community. It shouldn't even be your community, because you shouldn't have any association with those people, because it's disgraceful who act like that, because there's black people that are totally normal. But you need to call out those people in your, if you want to call them your community, whatever, your group, like, and say, we don't claim them. Like, that is like a disgraceful person, like whites would say about their own. Like, yo, we don't just claim that person. And it should be the same thing in the black community, where like people that are like I said, almost all these body cams, dude, are fucking black women. And they're just like, it's ghetto and disgusting and disgraceful on such a level that like everyone's incredulous. And it's Asian people watching it, it's Hispanic people watching it. And then people want to talk about hate and violence. Bro, you know why they stopped that Asian hate stuff that was going on during COVID? Is because they realized the people that were committing the Asian hate were black people. They were like black people, like pushing them into railroad tracks, like black dudes in inner cities were pushing them into like old Asian women into railroad tracks. And they were the ones going up and like stabbing people, stabbing white women on buses for no reason, just brutal attacks. How often do you see white people brutally stab and kill a black woman on a bus for no reason? Like, but like within the black community, that's just so normal. Like in the Bronx, his father of 7 just got stabbed to death on a train by obviously another black dude, because he asked him if he could be quieter. So like, I don't see any of this progressing with our society until like I'm gonna be straightforward. Like, it's really the biggest offenders by far the black community with these violent acts and with the horrible parenting. Now, whites are definitely involved and Hispanics, but like until the black community gets honest about that and other people start calling them out and saying like, yo, we're not going to give you a pass anymore. Like, it's not racism. It's none of this. Like, you're just acting different than everyone else. Why are you acting this way? And what can we do to help get you so that you're acting like everyone else? Because like I said, I don't see how anyone in good faith could ever go on YouTube and watch those cam videos of all those black women that you see all the time. Sometimes you'll see Karens and stuff, but they never, it's almost never to a level like with these black women where like it is just so belligerent, screaming, yelling, and they're given very simple instructions to follow. And they just act like literal wild animals. I almost never see any other race do that. But you see these women screaming and yelling and going there, and you realize in that moment, their brains work very differently. And I totally stand by all this, man. Like, there is no way you can look at that and think these people, like, they're the same as you, because they're not. And they're an insult to your race. They're like, why, if you're black, why would you want to claim these people? These women, these disgusting people, and say these are my brothers and sisters, this is my community. I would be so ashamed. Like, those people are like not even worth, like, they should be fucking put down, bro. Like, no one likes them, no one wants them around. You can't help those people. Like, you can't take someone like that and make them normal. Like, these people that just they like, they're given instructions by police. They're given so many opportunities, way more opportunities than I as a white guy would ever be given, and they again and again and again and again don't do what they're told. And they, Larry Elder and others have found that because of reprisals and the ACLU and all these fears, that interactions with black people are treated with a lot more finesse, and they're treated with so much more dignity and patience than I as a white man would ever be treated with. And they cover all their eyes, and cross all their T's, whatever the fuck it is, dot their I's. They take a ton of precautions because they're fear of retaliation anytime they're involved with a black person. And, you know, it is what it is, dude. And there's literally no way anyone could argue with that. Like, and what's cool is if you look at these videos and you read the posts, I don't post in there, I just read them. But you can see that, like, people of all races, even black people, they're posting and they're like, wow, I'm so embarrassed. They're like, I'm black and I have black fatigue. Or everyone's like, I have white fatigue. Or like, everyone talks about fatigue because everyone is just so fucking sick and tired of it, dude. And there's a huge charade going on about that these people are persecuted and that they, like, no, they're not. They're not persecuted. So, like, I like, yeah. And until, like, people start calling these people out more and more and saying, yo, you're a fucking disgrace to us, act normal, it's not going to change. It's just going to get worse. They're going to have more of their low quality spawn that they bring into the spawn pool. And you see these children with their ghetto ass parents, and their parents are acting crazy, going to jail, and they don't work. And you're like, you know, getting dragged on the floor because they've been asked 30 times to not do something, and they spit in the officer's face, and you think to yourself, that kid has no fucking chance. Like, that kid has zero chance. And there's just no way to argue that. There's just no way to argue it, dude. So when people want to talk about, like, the case with, like, Carmelo Anthony, I mean, that was a brutally violent person who thought it was acceptable because he was in a small scuffle to stab and kill someone. And then people want to defend that. You're fucking stupid, dude. you're fucking stupid, and you're trying to make that into a martyr. Of all the people in your community, you want to make that degenerate piece of shit your community? Like his ghetto ass parents who didn't even get a private attorney with all the money they got, they spent it on themselves, and you're gonna defend those kinds of people? Like, dude, mic drop, man. Like if I was part of some super redneck white trash community, I would disown them and like call them out, but I'm not. And it's just realizing that these people cannot be rehabilitated. You watch these cameras, I'll happily share the footage of any of these people. You absolutely cannot rehabilitate these people. They are not they're not, they don't have the ability to be rehabilitated. What would the term be? They're not rehabable, or they're not, they don't have the capacity to do that. And by allowing these people to continue to, like I said, bring their little spawn into the world, it's just going to continue to create more of the same types of people. So there's only so much more brainwashing that can go on. Like people can get brainwashed into whatever they told, but enough people are aware that like what they're observing and what they're seeing is totally different from like systemic racism. They see privilege, they see people that are coddled, they're given all these special chances and not doing anything good with it. And then you have to look at it and you have to say there's something else going on here. There's something like genetic or like with the cognitive ability, or there's something different going on with this, with a lot of these folks. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Like how their brain functions, like they said, the prefrontal cortex, and the different findings they find between whites and blacks, but they're too scared to study other races because they don't want to admit, you know. But the gray matter that they find is considerably different and has tons of implications with impulse control and emotional regulation and stuff. And it explains what you see with these people. I mean, imagine being like a really smart black person who's like acts normal. Like you get embarrassed by these fucking people all the fucking time, dude. And then society's not calling them out. Society's just saying they're victims and making the issue worse. Like that's why people like Infamous are like the absolute worst people you could ever have for the black community, because they just continue this denialism and victimization rather than accountability and holding their group of people accountable. And there's literally like there's no way you can argue any of this. It's like irrefutable. And the only way you can argue it is like on emotion and that you're like upset and triggered, but absolutely no way can anyone like refute what these people are positing. Because a lot of what I'm saying, I'm regurgitating what I'm reading in the comments and what this host, this YouTube host, Asmund Goth or whatever, is talking about in these other people. Like, I'm not coming up with these thoughts myself. I mean, what do you think of that, Mike? Like, you said you don't like your own women. Like, they, like I said, they're leading all the worst categories to lead.
I don't know. I don't know what the hell you're saying, Doris. I ain't been paying attention.
You can watch the replay and learn a thing or two.
No, I'm not gonna watch the replay. I will never watch the replays.
Well, that's up to you. But I said what a lot of people are thinking and believing now about behavior in America and parenting and people's like crime and justice and race.
Yeah, I don't watch the replays, man. I don't know the last time I watched the replay. To be honest.
That's okay. I got it off my chest.
Yeah, that's what the panel's for, man. Get it off your chest.
I shared about how different black women act than every other race in a bad way, and how bad of parents they are, and how they set up children to fail by nature and by nurture, because they have their low quality seed that is going to act like them. They don't have a father. They're belligerent. Like, you can't look at women in your community, black women, and not look at them and be like, wow, these women are like fucking crazy. And they're holding us back. Like, what percentage of black women are single moms living on the government? It's got to be over half of them. And there's such an entitlement there to those benefits. There's such a fucking entitlement. And they're on those their whole fucking life. How can you respect anyone that lives off the government their whole life, and then their whole life complains about how racist and bigoted that government is against them when it feeds their fat ass the whole life? Like, I'll happily call out white people that act like that. White trash that live on the government. They're bad enough. There's more of them than there should be, but it's not as an extreme an example. It's bad, but not as bad.
We ain't gonna be on here long, y'all. We ain't gonna be on here super long. I'm about to we're in about a probably like 40 minutes. 30, 40 minutes. About to smoke some good weed. About to smoke some good weed.
my shit done broke.
So hey, if you hop on after 2:30, you stuck in the back. Straight like that. 'Cause I ain't gonna be here.
Damn, my shit done broke, man. I think I stepped on my shit. Sat on my shit. Shit crazy, man. That's exactly what happened. Cause my shit will not broke up like this. I just shot at my shit. My shit rolled down the thing, man. Fuck. Something had to happen, boy. Oh, fucking cigarette. Still finna try to spark this bitch.
I think culture really begins and ends with women. The barriers of culture and civilization. So if your women are acting bad, they're gonna pass all those traits down to their prodigy as the progenitors.
Nah, salute,
Dude,
man.
I just hit the nail on the head.
Just was looking for my
That's it.
shit, man. Salute.
That is it in a nutshell. Yeah, civilization begins and ends with women. Yep. So you get all these single ghetto ass moms that are having all these kids, and they're creating more single ghetto ass moms and more fucked up kids who don't take accountability for their behavior. And don't have impulse control. They're violent. They have no respect for authority, whether it's in school, whether it's at the mall,
This shit finna blow me.
wherever it is. And they're told multiple times to do stuff and they don't, and then there's implications and consequences for that. That's exactly what it is. Holy shit. That's exactly what it is. And you see it all the time. Like there was this one dash cam footage of this girl that like she literally attacked a cop in the school. Hey bruh, fuck you, bruh, you faggot, you weak bruh, fuck you, bruh. She's just never been held accountable, never been disciplined. But it starts and ends with women. And look around at the women that are having children, whether it's in your community or other communities. Yep. They're gonna act just like mama. Holy shit. That's it. Yep.
Let me just put that bit on this side. God.
That's why you can have some poor families that are rural or urban, but they still act with honor and integrity because of how they were raised and what behaviors they grew up observing and so on and so forth. And that's why you can have people that are wealthy that are still trashy ass people because of how they were raised.
Get this paper to wrap around this shit. I don't fucking believe it.
Damn. That's fucking crazy.
Damn, I wasted my paper doing that dumbass shit. On the spot, shit.
Yeah, I think Black Lives Matter was the worst thing that's ever happened to black people and to our society because it totally took away accountability for people's behavior and actions. They can just blame anyone else whenever they have an issue and act up. Someone made them do that. They caused them to do that. Like, I don't even know how that's a debate, bro. You're pushed in a track meet, so your response is to stab someone to death. And then everyone wants to, like, be galvanized to defend your ass. When in any other community, they would be, like, horribly ashamed of you as a murderer. Like, damn, dude. It's right there. You go right there, dude. But that's the stuff that people in that community are gravitated towards. Because, like, again, they don't want to accept accountability. I guess every witness there lied. I guess there's a systemic conspiracy to falsely accuse that guy, and all the students and everyone else involved all went out of their way to lie and go against him. And they must have did it because he's black, not because he fucking violently stabbed someone to death. Like, do you have any idea how fucking retarded that sounds to everyone else? And how much it makes people not want to, like, help you? Because then it's a case of you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. Like, I don't know why white parents would ever adopt black kids, like Colin Kaepernick and stuff, because he's just going to grow up and bitch and complain about how horrible white people are and how horrible, like, so it's like, well, fuck that.
On the road again. I just can't wait to get on the road again. Going places I ain't never been before. On the road again.
But of all the people, that's the people like Infamous, like
This motherfucker dead tonight, man.
the Infamous is like a perennial victim. But those are the people that perennial victims who don't want to be held accountable. That's who they point to. That's their role model. Makes sense.
Back on this bitch, I can't see shit.
Like, how the fuck am I gonna grow if I don't take accountability for my choices? But I'm not out violently hurting anyone and committing crimes, and never will be. Because I was taught that I have no right to put my hands on people, I have no right to stab people. And if people don't want to admit that, then I guess there ain't no point in me coming on anymore, because I want to stand on truth and honesty. Like, it's so hard to continue this masquerade of woke society and stuff that's just compounding the issue exponentially. I put myself out there, man. I'm not hiding on anonymous forums. Definitely not some white trash skinhead or neo-Nazi, any of those degenerates. I think a lot of it has to do with culture. That's why drugs are so fucking bad, man. And people want to defend weed, but I would dare say weed is a super net negative. There's definitely going to be positive use cases of it, but I'd say they're going to be ultimately trumped by the negativity it causes. especially on a developing mind.
We got king in the building, man. They got the king in the building.
I'm gripping the clutch. If I get so ready, it will not be much. Stay in my lane, forget that I'm changing. The way that you drive, I can tell you Caucasian. It ain't no more traffic. You riding the train.